Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. In the 1970s, marijuana use surged in the U.S., driven by the counterculture movement and a growing acceptance of cannabis. In 1976, more than a third of high school seniors reported lighting up. And by 1979, 1 in 8 Americans over 12 years old reported using weed. Those folks are now 50 years or older. And guess what? They are still using marijuana for both medical and recreational reasons. Up next on Another View, the growing use of herb among America's senior population. Stay tuned. Another View will be right back after this national, regional, and local news from NPR and WHRO News.
Discussing today's topics from an African-American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Before we get into our topic today, I want to tell you about Teens with a Purpose and their 16th annual Youth Poetry Festival. It is happening this week, and if you think all young people are detached from what's going on in the world, you may want to rethink that. This week's Hampton Roads Youth Poetry Festival is just one way these artivists are expressing themselves. Starting tonight at 6 p.m., these young voices will use spoken word poetry to ignite change, challenge injustice, and inspire communities. The festival kicks off at Assembly in Norfolk and runs through the weekend. Each day is going to be at a different location. For more information, you can email them at twpmichelle. So it is twpmichelle @gmail.com. So they always do a fabulous job. Come out and support our young folks. That would be great. So personal use of marijuana by adults is legal in Virginia and a growing number of states in this country. And one of the fastest growing populations using cannabis are seniors. What is making people 50 years and older light up? Is it more about the medical benefits or just to feel good or both? Here to answer our questions is Dr. Victoria Crenshaw, Vice President of Westminster-Canterbury on Chesapeake Bay, Senior Options LLC, and Cannability Consulting. Hello, Dr. Crenshaw / Tori. How you doing?
I am great, Barbara. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. Especially, I know you're on vacation, so we really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us today about this. So you're with a variety of things at Westminster-Canterbury on Chesapeake Bay, but Cannability is an actual consulting company that you all have that helps seniors navigate the whole idea of medical marijuana use as well as recreational marijuana use. Is that right?
Now, let me clarify that a little bit in terms of the recreational. We're really looking at our goal with Cannability, and I'll tell you a little bit. We got established almost 2 years ago, and it was a passion that came out of our Director of Quality Improvement, who was working on her doctorate in nursing at Virginia Commonwealth University, and she asked me to be her advisor. And she asked me, what should I be studying? I said, what are you passionate about? And she said, cannabis. And I said, well, then spend the next 2.5 years studying everything you can about cannabis. And let's go and approach our president and see if we can start a consulting company within Westminster-Canterbury, but open to the public and open to other states besides Virginia. But we really look at guiding individuals in the best use of hemp-derived cannabis products. So I'll talk a little bit about that if you like.
Okay.
Because cannabis is the plant.
Okay.
And the cannabis is the overall plant, but then the terms that we distinguish from that is marijuana and hemp. And so we really focus on giving some guidance around hemp-derived products. If you need to go above the level of THC, which would be greater than 0.3% dry weight, that is then marijuana. If it's less than 0.3% THC dry weight, then it's hemp. And so we focus on hemp. If someone needs something different than what we have to offer, we can direct them to talk to their physician. They certainly can get a medical marijuana card and work with their physician to meet their needs. But we find for the population we're serving, which is anyone over 21 and older adults specifically, that the hemp product really does give them the outcome they're looking for without that euphoric feeling that you might get from more THC in the product.
Okay. But the difference, hemp also contains THC. It's just less than what marijuana is. Is that correct?
Yes, it's less than 0.3% dry weight of THC in the product.
Okay. And what reasons are people coming to you to say that they need to consult with you about how to use this?
Well, I'll tell you the reasons. The majority of the reasons that we're seeing is sleep, anxiety, insomnia, inflammation, arthritis, chronic pain, cancer-related pain, post-traumatic stress disorders, dementia, and end of life.
End of life?
Yes, we work with hospice organizations that include cannabis and hemp-derived product in their protocol for individuals to make them comfortable at end of life.
I really hadn't thought about that use of it. So what happens if someone comes to Cannability? How does it work?
Okay, so they reach out to us, and there's several ways they can do that, and I can give that to you in just a minute. But when they reach out to us, we provide a 15-minute kind of review of what is their need, what are they looking to really improve in their wellness, and what they're currently using, if they're using anything, and what medication they're on. So we do kind of a preliminary discussion, and then if an individual is interested in a consult, we then schedule a consult, and we do lots of education around that consult. And we invite, if there's a spouse or family member that wants to participate and talk also or listen, or a physician can participate. We've had physicians participate in that consult with their patients, and then we work as a team. So with that consult comes a review of your medication. We put the medication through several medication interaction trackers to make sure that there'll be no interaction with the medication the person is currently on. And then we'll start talking about what product would be best for that outcome they're looking for. And then we will make some recommendations. And we also have the product to sell. We have made sure that we have reviewed, we only have 3 companies right now that we work with, that we make sure they're meeting all the requirements in Virginia, because there is a Department of Agriculture hemp division that oversees this and makes sure that you meet the criteria of third-party testing, that your product meets all the guidelines in Virginia, that have their certificate of analysis, that they've made sure that it doesn't have chemicals that don't need to be in it, from pesticides and such. And only then will we suggest the product. And as I said, we only have 3 at this point that we have really associated with that have served the population well.
So has the attitude about hemp, cannabinoid, cannabis, marijuana, has that changed over the years that seniors in particular, since we're talking about the senior population this time, that they feel more comfortable to even start this conversation?
Yep. Sometimes the older individual starts the conversation, and sometimes it's their adult children who might suggest something that say, let's talk about this. And then we have found some populations and older individuals of color are a little more skeptical about marijuana, really because of historical distrust with the healthcare system. But however, more education, awareness, and more acceptance is increasing.
So, Tori, do people come to you sometimes because out of frustration because the traditional Western medicine is not working for them?
Absolutely. We've had many individuals that come and they're tired of the effect of the Ativan or some other medication that they've been taking for years. They don't want that feeling. They want to make a change. And in our nursing centers and nursing centers that we work with, and we do work with healthcare centers across Virginia and other states, they're looking to decrease their psychotropic medication for their older population. And so they're looking at what is an alternative. And this has been a good alternative for some. In fact, we have psychiatrists that in our population that say, let's try cannabis first before we go to those psychotropics. So it's something that you really work with your physician on. But people are getting tired of that, and they want to look at alternatives.
And our doctors, do you find them receptive or do you get pushback from the medical community because you're really just trying to provide education, right?
We do provide education, but we do then suggest the right product for the outcome the individual is looking for. Education is so important. And we find that physicians are inviting us to come to their practices and educate. And we also found a real need and interest from the medical community for us to present at their conferences, because they want to learn more, because their clients and patients are coming to them saying, I want to know more about it. So then the physician says, let me get more educated. So that has really been promising.
Now, I know that in Virginia, we have medical dispensaries, and you have to have get a medical card in order to purchase from there. Do you need a medical card to purchase from Cannability?
No, you do not.
You do not. Okay, that's because it has to do with that THC level.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Barbara, you could go down to a gas station. You see them all the time, the vape store. There's places all around our community. And if you walk in there, and we have done that for our research, they don't provide much assistance. And you're kind of just looking at all these packages saying, what do I need to take to help my anxiety or to help my to sleep better. And so that's where we really got passionate about helping to educate and guide. Because if you just go in and say, I want something, they'll look at you, what do you want? They're not there to educate you. They're there to sell a product. We're here to educate, and we only sell the product because we know the product has been tested and it meets all the guidelines that are necessary in Virginia and other states.
Got you. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call to join our conversation. Have you been curious about utilizing cannabis with your health issues, or also just, as some people say, to feel good? Give us a call. And what questions do you have? 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Tori, there's a couple of terms I want to see if we can get clarification on. One is medical cannabis, then cannabinoids, and then cannabis therapeutics. What's the difference between the three, or what do they relate to, I guess is what I should say?
Yeah, they relate to the amount of THC in the product.
Okay.
That and of course, as I said, the medical cannabis laws are different by state. And in Virginia, you do have to have the medical card. So, and it's used therapeutically rather than recreational. So, if a person's coming to us wanting to use the product for recreational purposes, we're not really. They can go to the shop or whatever. For us, it really is somebody who wants to improve their wellness, and they want the product to really help them balance their endocannabinoid system, which is so important because that really feeds your whole entire body.
Explain a little bit more about that, because that was going to be my next question. This endocannabinoid system, what is it?
So it is the most extensive neuroregulatory system in our bodies, and it really contains receptors, and we'll refer to those as locks. And these receptors are all over your body. They may be functioning well, they may be in balance, or they may be out of balance. And then the cannabinoids are the keys. So we try to balance the regulatory signals to really provide wellness in the way in which you're looking for. It provides a nurturing response to stress and injury or inflammation. And it also modulates sleep, mood, and appetite relaxation. The endocannabinoid system, like I say, is hundreds all over your body. And they don't really teach you this in nursing school, They're starting to get a little more information about it, but it does regulate pretty much everything, modulates everything in your body. And you can get the cannabinoids from your internal system, and then, of course, you can get it from the hemp-derived product, as I've talked about.
Mm-hmm. We have a question from Liz in Virginia Beach, wants to know, how does the way you consume cannabis impact its potency? For example, smoking seems to be instantaneous, while edibles seem to take effect much slower, while brownies, for example, can be fast or slow depending on how much you ingest.
Yep, she is absolutely right. Of course, but I'm going to refer to people who are looking to vape and smoke certainly get the effects quicker, but it's sometimes you can't regulate the effect that way. Whereas we see with an edible like a gummy or a tincture that goes under your tongue, you can modulate it a little better in terms of how much you are using. And that's why we say with us that we start slow in our recommendations. We start low. And then if you get the effect that you're looking for sleep or for anxiety, then we follow back up and see how you're doing, if you need any changes to that. But that usually takes, if you're using a gummy, it takes 30 minutes to an hour really to see the effects of that. Whereas with a smokable, it's like 15 minutes. So start low, go slow, and stay low is kind of our philosophy.
Okay. And so when using these that are more the hemp products, is there the euphoria that comes with definitely a product that has a lot of much more THC in it?
Not normally if you're staying within the range that we recommend. Like we'll tell people to, as I said, start low. So here is a gummy that will assist you with sleeping. And the THC works best in combination with the CBD, CBG, CBN. It's all different parts of the plant. So just having THC by itself is going to give you that euphoria. But you really have the best effect with these other CBD, CBG, CBN. Having some THC with that will really help to address your issue.
Okay. Another question from Facebook. Kevin wants to know, who's with us from Norfolk, wants to know, where do dispensaries get their cannabis supplies?
You know, they get them from manufacturers across the country. And I had a chance this week to be in Arizona and visit, and it wasn't a dispensary. Anybody could go in and just walk up to the counter and purchase in that state. Then I'm in California. So they get their products from all over.
From all over the place. Okay.
Yep. And then I want to add to that, and that's a point I want to make. That's difficult for people who are going to the medical cannabis shop. They may go in today and get what serves them really well. And they say, this is great. They get down to and they get ready to run out. They go back to buy that same product. It's no longer available. That is a challenge. Whereas we find the hemp-derived product is available. It's once we know what it is, they don't take it off. You know, they're not changing it constantly like you would with the marijuana.
So what about creams and so forth? Are those effective?
We've had many people that use the balm for arthritis, and you need to do it consistently, and they have had great effects. We've had people that are athletes that use it on their shoulder. My brother-in-law uses it before he plays pickleball, and he lives in Arizona. And I actually rub it on my knee because my physician said you might need to have a knee replacement at some point. Well, I started using that every day. My knee is fine. So I'm not saying that I would compare myself to somebody who needs a knee replacement, but it has helped at this point. And it's easy to obtain, and it's pretty consistent.
So what are some practical things that people need to think about as they decide whether or not this is even something they need to explore?
Well, I think they need to be open to trying it, and read more about it. There's lots of research out there. People think there isn't. There is a lot of research. And in fact, on our website, we've had some of that research that you can see, and some of our conferences that we've been to, and information in there that's more academic. But definitely research it. But you'll see that some, whatever you read might say this is great. Other places say don't do this. So you really have to look at it for yourself. And I think the reason that we have been so successful, and we've had over 250 clients, is because we do the research for you. So if there is a particular ailment that you're having, and like degenerative disc disease or rheumatoid arthritis, we can do all the research and then help educate you and then share that with you so you can share it with your family or your physician.
757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. I think there's so much confusion about terminology and so forth too. We hear from Lynn in Chesapeake, who wanted, similar to a question I just asked you, but she wrote back with an additional question. So the question was, when it comes to aches and pains, what's more effective, hemp or cannabis, and are oils and creams more effective? And then she also wants to know, are you rubbing hemp or cannabis creams? Is there a difference between the words hemp and cannabis?
So cannabis, again, is the plant.
It's the plant. Okay,
so
gotcha.
Cannabis is the overall, like the umbrella of the plant.
Okay.
Hemp is that less than 0.3% THC, and then marijuana is greater than that. So we don't use the marijuana. So our balm is strictly hemp. I mean, you certainly could, if you try that. If that doesn't work for you, then consider talking to your physician, and the medical marijuana might be best, and that's also in a balm. So that's certainly something that's available. But we have found that people will use a combination sometimes for arthritis because it can be localized, and then it can be deeper in terms of acidic arthritis for individuals, rheumatoid or such. And so we find that individuals that come to us are mainly looking for help with pain, which is another situation that you'll have with arthritis. So the balm can help, but then with a combination of a hemp-derived product.
So the pain, if you utilize traditional medicine for pain versus using hemp for pain, what's the difference in terms of I guess the long-term ability to control the pain?
Well, I mean, there's studies out there that say, depending on what you're taking, it's short-term, and you might have to increase the amount to get better effects in the long run. But you certainly don't have the side effects you have with a lot of traditional medications. And some people want to look at alternatives so they don't have those side effects. But it's really individualized, Barbara, depending upon the individual, what's going on. Because some older individuals are taking lots of medication, and they get to the point that they want to decrease that. But they really need to work with their physician on that, and we'll partner with them on that journey.
What do you do when you have a physician who is just absolutely against what you're doing?
Oh, you know what? I have physicians right now that call my personal cell phone with a client in their office wanting some support right there and then. So we haven't found that to be the case, because I just think education is just getting more and more out there for people to really educate themselves. And then when you go to your physician and you're saying, Doc, I want to do this, and they say no, then people make a decision. Do I want to stay with this practice, or do I want to go somewhere a little more progressive or more looking at the whole body and the whole wellness? So I really think it's I think it's really individualized, and we haven't really been met with too much resistance.
So have you worked with a lot of African-American clients, and if so, has there been a reticence, I guess is a good word, at first, because they're kind of like, I don't know if I really should be doing this, but I really want to explore it and see what's what?
I think that's true of most individuals, especially our population that we're really focused on. And I think part of that is when they get more education and when the family is more supportive, then they're more open to learning more about the benefits. But there are people that still say, no, I remember back in the day, that's going to, fry your brain and all of that, and they won't have anything to do with it. So it's really individualized. But it's so funny, we did a presentation to to residents at a community, and one person raised their hand and says, "How do I smoke this gummy?" And so there's so much lack of knowledge out there. So many people may think you can only smoke it, and they're not interested in that. So I just think it's education.
So what about people who make their own gummies and their own edibles? Is that something that again, in terms of regulation of how it's going to affect you, I would assume that would be an issue?
Yeah, we don't get into that at all. I mean, people, that are growing it in their homes and deciding, what they want to do is up to them. But I would suggest not to take something from someone that you don't know where it's come from or how it's been regulated or reviewed. With third-party testing, I would be really leery of that. But, it's an individual choice.
Gotcha. If you're just joining us, we're talking about cannabis use among seniors with Dr. Victoria Crenshaw, Vice President of Westminster-Canterbury on Chesapeake Bay, Senior Options, LLC, and Cannability Consulting. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. You talked about, Tori, sometimes family members will come to an older family member and suggest that they utilize marijuana. Is this the same? Are we talking about the same marijuana that you would get on the street, so to speak, as opposed to medical, as opposed to, I guess I'm trying to get to the idea of why a younger family member might think this is a good idea to begin with.
Okay. All right. That's a really good question.
Make sense?
But, yeah.
Okay.
But, younger individuals have aches and pains too. And
yes,
problems
true.
And anxiety. And so if they find that they get some relief, they have a discussion with their parents about, why don't you try this? Or they're reading up on it, or they're listening to a podcast. Or Sanjay Gupta is really turned his thoughts around about the benefits of cannabis because he saw the benefits for his parents and saw that traditional medicine was not always meeting that need. So, I'd say just research and education is so important. But in our individuals that have participated with us, they have found 96% of them have experienced improvement in at least one or more of their symptoms. And so I think what's happening, too, is that the individual might come to us and then go to their family member and say, I think you need to do something about your anxiety. Why don't you, why don't you talk to Cannability Consulting? And so sometimes it's going both ways.
And I know that you are a psychologist, right? And are there other mental health conditions that this is also helpful in terms of treatment?
Well, in terms of mental health condition, you really need to work with your physician on that. I mean, we see people that for anxiety, but if you really have a mental health issue, you need to be working with your physician, because introducing something in combination of those antipsychotics need to be managed pretty well.
Gotcha.
We do have a physician that works with us, and we also have a nurse practitioner that does our consults, along with Dr. Alex Hill, who is our employee, who this was her passion and learned all about it. So we do have experts that can help guide and communicate to physicians when it's necessary.
Okay. Let's go to the phones. Dr. Robertson from Chesapeake joins us.
Yes.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, how are you doing?
Okay.
Listen, I've had two doctors who have refused alternative means for my arthritis in my knee. I'm a former athlete. And I want to know, what is the procedure of getting the type of cannabis treatment that I think I need? And by the way, I'm one of those in that crowd beyond 50 that did so when I was in college.
So I know I'm chuckling because I'm wondering, did you start in college? Did you stop and now you're reinterested in reignite connecting, or did you continue?
No, really, I'm very health oriented. I mean, I've lifted weights, I work out every day, but I'm still suffering with arthritis, and especially when it gets cold, it affects me tremendously.
Sure.
And I'm getting tired of the doctor telling me, no, that's not a good thing. I think my doctors, in fact, are a little too old-fashioned.
Okay. All right. Let's let Dr. Crenshaw answer you. Go ahead, Tori.
Okay. So thank you for that question. I would definitely say you can start with talking to us about a consult, and we can educate. And then that gives you information to go back and help educate your physician. And if the physician is still not interested, I think part of the reason that they may not be interested is they really think you're talking about the marijuana part of the plant. So if you start out with hemp, see if that works for you, and then have a discussion with your physician. The physician may be more supportive. But I can give you the email. It's support@cannability.com. Support@cannability.com.
And spell cannability for everybody.
Cannability.
Yep. Cannability. Cannability.
Yep. We're trying to give you the
yes.
ability to use cannabis safely to meet your needs. And then this telephone number, if you'd rather call us, it's 757-772-2662.
Okay.
And go on our website and start looking at some podcasts, and you can sign up for a 15-minute review of your situation and see if you want to consult. And that's cannability.com. www.cannability.com.
Okay, Dr. Robertson, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate that. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Vicki joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Vicki. You're on the air.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
My question is, I have a few friends who are taking prescribed cannabis for different health ailments. My question and concern is, because they take it every day as any other daily supplement that they use, they think it's still okay to drive. And I'm a little concerned about that. Like, do these levels inhibit your awareness?
Yes, that's a great question.
That's a great question. Yeah,
it really is. You should, if you're taking a product, especially one that has the marijuana greater than 0.03% THC, you might not want to be getting behind a wheel in a car. You might want somebody else driving you. It really depends upon the level. So it's kind of hard to answer that question, but even people that are taking the lower amount of marijuana, they certainly could be, putting themselves and others at risk, depending upon how safely they drive and how much they take in and how long they've been taking it. Like some people take it several times a day, and some people don't take it into the evening. And so certainly that would dictate kind of the driving.
Vicki, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it still makes me concerned for them because I don't, it gets to a point like with individuals who have a drink every day. Because they do it so often, their tolerance, I guess,
is higher.
Increases,
Yeah.
And so then they feel like this is normal for me and it's no big deal. But I'm still thinking you're under the influence, so it has got to affect your brain activity in some way. And even if you have a card, if you're stopped by the authorities because they think you're under the influence, does displaying that card give you a, easy out?
No, the card doesn't give you a pass go if you are not safe on the highway, for sure.
Yeah, and it is still illegal, if I'm not mistaken, to drive under the influence of alcohol or marijuana. So, that's the other issue to think about also. There is a legal component. Thanks, Vicki, for the call. We really appreciate that. Tori, we got a message from Stan in Hampton. He says his wife takes an opioid and she wants to switch over to cannabis, but there are drug screenings at her job regularly, and she's concerned about that. How do you deal with that?
Right. That's another great question. And some companies, depending on what the company is, what their business is, have actually dropped testing for marijuana. Some people have stopped that because in some situations, if you wouldn't be able to hire anyone, especially if you're talking about the hospitality industry or younger individuals that might be enjoying a little cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there are some that strictly will do testing, and certainly if you're using heavy equipment or you're around individuals and safety is an issue, it will show on your drug test.
And so even if you use the hemp products, that will show also?
It will.
Okay. All right. So that it really depends on what your company's rules are in terms of policies are in terms of utilizing marijuana.
Absolutely.
Correct. Okay. So how do you, when you're out in the community and you're talking with various groups, first of all, who normally invites you to come, and what are they looking for when they invite you?
That's really interesting, because I'm presenting next week at a civic organization or a women's club of a large neighborhood. But we have healthcare organizations invite us, individual groups invite us, and they just want the education. They're hearing more about it, and they really want to get kind of the basic. What is this all about? Give me some education on the endocannabinoid system. What products and what benefits? So we do a lot of education, and we do that out in the community. Health providers and non-health providers. People just are interested, and they want it. And I think since we're so legitimate in terms of our first goal is not to sell a product. Our goal is only to provide a product that's safe once somebody is interested in the product. And we have a consult that really addresses their needs. So that's why they want to know more about the research behind it and the use, utilization.
So if you have a hemp product that you're utilizing, whichever way, gummies or creams or whatever, can you, if you use a lot of it, does that elevate the THC to a point where it's more THC? It becomes more marijuana. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, I do know what you mean. Because we've met with individuals and say, we want you to, just cut a quarter of this.
Right.
And then they decide, I'm going to take the whole thing. You got to follow the guidance that we've provided. And then we follow up with individuals. We follow up within 48 hours to see how things are going. We continue to follow up in terms of seeing if they need product or a change in product or if they're doing well. So it's really important to have that consistency by someone who's educated and can help provide that guidance. But yeah, if you get a gummy you're supposed to take, at night for sleep, and you decide you're going to take 3 of them morning, noon, and night, then yeah, you're going to get more THC than you should be getting. So you really you have to follow the guidance that's provided by us.
So suppose you are given some guidance and you purchased, what you think will work for your particular condition, and you find that you may have either taken too much or it is more than you anticipated. What do you need to do to just be calm until it goes away?
Yep. Absolutely. Just relax and be calm, and it will go away. I had an individual who told me that he flew to a different state, and he didn't feel like he could put his gummies for sleep in the bag to travel with. And so when he got to that state, he went into some store and got something, and he thought it was what he normally took. And he said he had such a high anxiety reaction. So you really do need to be careful. That's why we stick with people. We follow up and we answer questions along the way. Once you get a consult, you can stay with us for years. There's no additional fee, so that we can help to guide you.
Okay. We're going to go back to Stan in Hampton again, who just called us back. So hi, Stan, you're on the air.
Hi there.
Hi.
I just wanted to clarify a little bit. It wasn't my wife's employment. It's her actual doctor.
Oh.
And so what she takes opioids, and so because of that, she has to take drug screening. And I heard that you guys addressed it earlier. I must have missed that. But the question is, I guess, is there something that doesn't show on drug screening? We found that CBN works wonders for her sleep apnea, but they always coincide with CBD or something like that. Obviously, we avoid the ones with THC. So I guess that's the question: is is there something that she can take that does not
put her at risk of losing her opioid prescription, because the doctor has threatened that if she fails the test, like the last time she failed, but she didn't take anything with THC. I think it had CBN and CBD, but to find just a pure CBN product's been difficult. We did try that a few months back from a relative that went to Colorado, but here in Virginia, it seems to be kind of non-existent. So I guess I'm asking you to elaborate on that and maybe something that is...
It sounds like, it's really individualized, and I'd really love for us we'll give you a 15-minute review of that by our physician and nurse practitioner so that you can get the answer specifically based on the medication she's on. So I'd rather do that not on this call, but if you'll call us at that 757-772-2662 number and say, Tori said to call, then we'll have one of our providers help to answer that question for you.
Stan, I hope that helps you.
Yes. Could you have the number one more time, please?
Yes, it's 757-772-2662.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be glad to help you.
Thanks so much for the call. We appreciate that. So, Tori, where do you see attitudes about cannabis, hemp, marijuana going forward? What do you see for the future of? And do you call it a drug?
Well, it's really a supplement when you're talking about hemp-derived. But if it's marijuana, it's going to be classed as a drug. We treat it like a drug because safety is so important. So we do treat it like a drug in our environment because we're healthcare people. But
what do you see as the attitude about it overall going forward?
Well, I think in Virginia, people are still pushing forward to, declassify marijuana from where it's classified as a drug, and that one that you probably shouldn't be taking. Not the hemp-derived product, but the over the 0.03%. So I think attitudes are changing as people are getting more educated, and I think there's more opportunity out there for education by medical individuals that have gotten very interested in this, not only personally, and if you're looking for someone who's really positive about it, look for a wellness physician. They seem to be more open to managing pain and other symptoms in this way, or at least having it as part of the plan. So, traditional physicians may not be interested, and if they aren't, we'll be glad to come to their office. You give us a call, and we'll follow up with them and say, we'd love to come to your office and do some education, or send them information that helps them research, that helps them to maybe become a little more open-minded.
So I know that, a lot of, if we were talking about the senior population, they have younger grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so forth. What about storage, and what about how do we keep this safe? Because this is for adults and not for children.
Absolutely. In Virginia, and this is where safety is so important to us, because we're going to follow the rules. In Virginia, you're required to have the item in a safety sealed container. You have to have that. But you can go into shops and vape shops and not always find that to be the case, but that is required. And if you don't meet that requirement, you could get a very stiff fine out in the community. So that's important. We do make sure that all of our products meet those requirements. And then there are safety packets that you can purchase to put the product in that will only open with the particular individual's finger mark. So that is so important and then part of the regulation is that the product cannot have a picture of fruit on the packaging, because that could entice a younger individual to think it's, a snack. And so if you go online with the Department of Agriculture Health Division, they have a list of requirements. And so if you're going out and just say, well, you know what, I'm not going to pay this consult, I'm going to go out and see what's out there on my own, take that list with you and see if there's a product that meets the requirement, then you know that you're probably purchasing a safe product.
And if you go into one of the vape stores or different things that are available, because technically they're not supposed to be selling THC, they're supposed to be selling the hemp products, right? But how do you know what's safe, or how do you know what to look for?
Well, you can look right on most packages do have the level of THC in the product, so definitely look at that. But I can tell you this you have to have equal parts of THC to CBD or CBN, and so really it does take someone who knows what they're doing to be able to determine if the product is the best product for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I say, we'll have the checklist on our website also if somebody wants to take a look at that. So if you're out there looking at products somewhere else, you'll look at that list and say, oh my gosh. And that's why we have so many people that came to us and said, you're giving us a consult, but we want to get the product from you. At first, we weren't selling the product, and we found that people trusted us to ensure that the product met all the requirements in the safety safety guidelines. So, but that's what I would suggest.
Give us your website again, just so that people can go.
Yes, it's www.cannability.com.
www.cannability.com. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Colin joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Colin. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener, kind of coming late today, so
thank you.
This has already been covered.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead and answer a question.
Recently there's an article that I saw from Fortune talking about folks under 50 having an increased risk of heart attack consuming cannabis products. It didn't really elaborate on the types, so I was just curious if anyone in your panel has heard that or has any sort of, other information. Again, sort of coming a little bit late to the show today, so maybe it's already been covered for you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we haven't answered that particular question, so thank you for the call.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tori.
So there is a lot of research out there, and I really, and sometimes people like to narrate a little bit related to that research and take it a little bit out of context. I don't know if that's the case in that particular article. I'm not familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it really depends upon the individual, their health situation, and also what level of THC they might be taking. So they're usually talking about marijuana in those situations when they're talking about that kind of research. So I'd ask you to go back and see if that is. Then that is the marijuana part of the cannabis plant, and we're talking about the hemp-derived product.
Our earlier caller talked about, I know about CBD, but he said CBN. I mean, what can you kind of break down the plant a little bit in terms of what helps what?
Oh my gosh, that would take
forever, right?
We have here. And if you go onto our website, we do have all of our articles and all of our presentations that we've provided to medical individuals across the country that really breaks it down, because there are 100 different parts of the plant. CBN, wow. CBG. And lots of information on the benefits of each one and what combination helps what particular ailment. So I would definitely say that would be the place that I would
go find that. Sure. And speaking of that also, does it matter the ingestion based on whatever your issue is? So what I'm saying is if you are taking it for arthritis, for example, is it better to do it as a gummy as opposed to smoking, as opposed to, something else or a cream? Or does it depend?
It really depends upon the individual and depends upon the extent of the pain around their arthritis. But yeah, definitely.
Is there anyone, have you ever had someone after your consult where you said, this is not what you need to do?
Interesting. We have had, I'd say, a couple of individuals that were looking for more of a marijuana product than they, and then they went and talked to their physician. They were looking for something a little stronger based on all of their condition, and they were individuals that we then referred back to their particular physician for that.
Okay. Can you share some of your success stories? Where someone came
sure
in?
Can.
Yeah.
Yes, sure can. One case study in specific, and I participated in the review, was an individual who was suffering with incurable cancer and could not eat, nauseated all the time, intractable vomiting, and was losing more and more weight. And the spouse brought this individual in along with the daughter, who was an attorney, And we talked through what the needs were and started on a product and followed up and made some adjustments. And the individual was able, said, for the first time, I can look at food and in a way that's pleasing to me. So that really helped with her being able to eat and feel comfortable with that. Another is an individual who had dementia and was and PTSD also, which is not a really good combination, and would get very violent and aggressive as the day went on. And so not only was the spouse afraid of this individual, the person would strike out at the spouse. And so we worked with the couple, and the individual became more engaging, more relaxed, happier. And what people say is, well, I'm concerned if an older individual like this takes this product, they might, have more falls. What we found, that's not the case, because the person is less anxious, they're more engaging, they're eating better. It's just helped the overall life of the individual and the family in that case, because the person was just not manageable.
Wow. So I want to give you an opportunity in the last 2 minutes that we have, because we're getting a lot of questions about work, the workplace, the military, all these other places where still you are not proposing that people break federal law. You stay within the Virginia law, correct?
Yes, Barbara, absolutely. That is what we do. We are not breaking any laws, and so we're not going to advise any of those individuals to do something that's illegal.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And they also have to be very conscious of what the law is for their particular job, or the policy for their particular job, et cetera. Correct?
Absolutely. It should be in their benefit information in their, or go to their HR department and just get some general information. Absolutely.
Okay. So we
don't want anybody to jeopardize their job.
Exactly. And we're not telling everybody go out and smoke a joint. Right?
Oh, no, absolutely. No, we're not doing that. Loud and clear.
I just want to make sure people do understand. So this is a definite choice that people can make. If they'd like to find out more information, then tell us where we go. Give us the phone number and the website again.
I will, absolutely. So the phone number is 757-772-2662. And the website is www.cannability, just like it sounds, CANNABILITY.com.
Okay. This is Dr. Victoria Crenshaw. Thank you so much, Tori. We really appreciate this information, and we hope that people who decide to reach out to you all will gain the education that they need in order to make really good, sound decisions for their individual situation. Correct.
You summarized that very well. Thank you so much.
All right. You take care and enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good. Bye-bye. And we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Another View. You can listen to this show again or share it with a friend. Just go to whro.org/anotherview and download the podcast. Or you can always find us wherever you go for your podcast listening pleasure. Next week on Another View, the Another View Roundtable with thoughts on issues affecting our communities today. Our theme music is an original composition created especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Jordan Christie is our audio engineer, and Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. It's supposed to be in the 80s from now until Sunday, so enjoy the weekend, and let's get together again next Thursday at noon for Another View.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever, whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.